Today on Locked On Rockies, it's a food fight as we dive into ballpark food. What's the best food? What's the most overrated ballpark food? It's a fun end of the week type of episode here on Locked On Rockies. What's the Rockies twist? Of course, we got to talk about what to eat at Coors Field.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 19th day of January in the year 2023. I am the host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what? You are in the right spot. That's what we do around here is we talk about the Colorado Rockies each and every day. Today, we're going to do something a little different on the Locked On Rockies podcast. I want to talk about ballpark food, and I want to talk about y'all's favorite ballpark food. And I asked for some hot takes on ballpark food from some folks in my various baseball circles. But why am I doing this? Well, because it's January and it's the end of the week, and I kind of wanted to do something fun, and I heard the classic debate of a hot dog, a sandwich again, and I was kind of thinking about things that I miss about baseball. And one thing that I miss especially and have missed out on as a Rockies fan in the past few years is Coors Field. A little bit behind the scenes for folks that don't know, I'm born and raised in Denver native, grew up with shared season tickets to the Rockies. And then when I left for school and since, I've been to only a handful of Rockies games in general and at Coors Field especially. So we're going to dive into an article I found too of things you got to eat at Coors Field, stuff that I didn't even know that Coors Field had, but it's still a couple of the classics and a couple of favorites from Colorado treat places that I like when I have been home. But so I've missed out on the new on I don't think I've been back to Coors since 19 or 18. I'm going to say that was the last time I have been at Coors Field. And when we're talking ballpark food, I'm kind of a traditional guy. I like the dude that's had the hot dog stand, and I hope he still does or had the hot dog stand outside of the left field line. Go in if you're gonna get in the entrance and you go over the bridge to go in from the left field side, because you're coming from Union Station. I almost always would light rail into games. That was almost exclusively how I would get to the game. So my go-to is going out and hitting that up, getting a dog or two, and then a soda, and then now that I'm of age, of course, I like a good cold beer inside. But that's my go-to. The thing when I'm going to a baseball game, I have to have a hot dog. I'm pretty sure it is impossible for me to go to a game and not have a dog. If I got to pay the full price at the concession stand for the dog, I pay the full price. If it's dollar dog, great. What I love about games in Seattle as of last season, they added a value menu, which has been nice. So it's still obviously prices jacked up for what they are, but they offer things like refillable soda. So you buy one cup and you can keep getting soda throughout the whole game. It makes you feel a little bit better about the price you pay for a soda. And I think if you bring your souvenir cup in, you can fill it up throughout like the season and stuff too, which is cool. And then hot dogs and popcorn and the simple things like the classics, because you can never go wrong with your hot dog, your popcorn, your pretzel. Here's my hot take. Pizza at the ballpark, not the move. I know there's a lot of great places that get pizza involved, and at Coors Field had a Big Bill's New York pizza department stall. I'd be there every time. But I just think pizza isn't the right move. There's something about the ballpark pizza that doesn't stack up, because I want the mini pizza. I want the full mini pizza, not just the slice. There's just other thing. I just think the hot dog is a perfect thing to eat, or popcorn, or the pretzel. There's just some simple, easy things that I think go a little bit better than pizza. And I'm a big pizza guy. There are very few situations in the world where I'm calling for not a pizza. But if I'm at the ballpark, I am going for a hot dog over a slice of pizza every time. Here in the live chat here, Mateo, hello to you. At Rocks Hot Take says, "What's up, Paul? Got to have those chicken nachos at Coors. Nachos are a classic too. Anything that can be served in a helmet, always an added bonus. That's those are souvenir stuff, but it's like if you're gonna pay the overabundance and you're gonna get the kid a treat at the ballpark, then get the helmet nachos. Absolutely. That's definitely the move, because then you get a souvenir after. Just go rinse it out real quick. Boom, little helmet. Furious MMO says, I usually get the hot wings or the Helton burgers. The Helton burger is a classic. And he says, the reason I get the wings is as in a hot dog is they load you up with the fries with the wings. That's a good call. If you can get the added bonus of French fries, because Coors Field makes most places make a mean French fry. And I love me some French fry. But if I'm going in mindset in mind, like what I think I know for sure I'm going to eat at the ballpark, it's almost exclusively like I'm getting a hot dog or two, preferably cheap. And and then a drink. Gotta have a drink, a couple beers. The beers are the worst part. I'd rather buy I'm more upset about beer prices than I am the food prices somehow. I don't know, but that's just how it goes. But I'm telling you, this value menu thing that Seattle, every ballpark should do it. It's a hit. It's such a good idea, and it makes you feel better about the products and such that you are it makes you just feel better about the money that you're spending. I think your money goes a long way. But you mentioned the Helton burger. That's a thing I know about, haven't had. Because again, I'm almost always getting hot dogs at the ballpark. But one of my favorite things at Coors Field, and we'll dive into some ballpark hot takes and the things to eat at Coors Field here coming up in segment 2, and I'll dive into more about why this thing's my favorite. I love the fresh squeezed lemonade with the little lemon guy on it at the ballpark. Oh man, that's one of my favorite. I don't know if that's just a Coors Field thing, but I just associate it with Coors, and it's got like the whole lemon shoved in there too. Oh man, absolutely great stuff. More ballpark food talk coming up here in segment number 2. But before we do that, got to tell you about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, folks. Yes, I'm talking every single one out there. Don't miss out on all the playoff action going on in the NFL. You can get in on the sports betting there, or you can check out all the basketball, the hockey action going on, future bets for baseball. Guess what, folks? They even got esports if you're into that too. They've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, I know you do, you're listening to one right now. You can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. You can head to the website today. That's betonline.net. You can also use your mobile device to learn more about all the sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis you can need at BetOnline. BetOnline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Diving into the live chat here, at Rocks Hot Takes says, sad to say, beer's more expensive in McGregor Square at Tom's Watch Bar than inside the ballpark. And says, lemonade is my wife's go-to, always stealing sips. It's so good. I don't know what it is. It's like, it's prime lemonade time, right? Hot day, July, especially you're at a day game in Denver. You gotta have I love soda. One of my biggest crutches in the world is soda. I love me a good Coca-Cola. But man, those lemonades hit the spot on a day like that. Let's get some more Coors Field gotta eats, because there's a lot of stuff on here I didn't even know about here since I've been gone. Like I was telling you, and this is from 5280 magazine. This is from June 10th of last year. So this is kind of right in the thick of it. Okay, they have the Elvis Shakes here, and that is new last year. So I wonder if all this stuff's going to come back, but it's a creamy concoction with banana, soft serve, peanut butter sauce, and then a Cracker Jack crown and candy bacon garnish. Man, you get a souvenir cup with that too. I don't know if I'd go with that. If I'm going to get ice cream at the ballpark, it's either going in the soft serve, in the helmet, like we're talking about, or of course, a classic Dippin' Dots. Denver steak and cheese fries. French fries is a main course. Bet on it. Oh, and by the way, the author of this is Brittany Ennis. I think I got that right. But again, 5280.com. 8 things that are actually worth eating at Coors Field. Denver steak and cheese fries. The Denver steak and cheese fries made its rookie season debut at Coors Field last year, or this year, according to the article. But again, it was written last year, providing a nice alternative to tenders, tots, dogs, and burgers. The fries come covered in white queso sauce and are topped with chopped sirloin, an onion blend, and chopped scallions. The dish is sauced up with Worcestershire sauce and steak sauces. Ooh, I do like that. That's a lead contender of something that I would want to eat there at Coors Field. Louisiana Red Hot Chicken. It may seem a little out of left field that Denver Stadium serves a Louisiana Red Hot Chicken sandwich. Not really. I feel like Red Hot Chicken is kind of like one of the most popular things going on in food. But go ahead and grab a beer. You'll need to tame the flame from this fried chicken sandwich that comes with pickles, mayo, hot sauce, lettuce, tomato, and bacon. Sounds delicious. I would skip it personally. Now, here's what we're talking about and something I would do. We're talking dogs. Because if you haven't been to biker gyms and you're in Denver, you're missing out. So here we go. Biker Gyms is at Coors, which is great news. Sure, you could grab a Rockies dog from a number of Coors concessionaires, but if you live for a hot dog at a baseball game, you want to seek out the dogs that are less school lunch and more gourmet. Proceed to Biker Gyms. The hot dog purveyors stand within Coors Field, offer a more concise menu than the nearby restaurant at 2148 Laramie Street, but inside the stadium still have a nice selection of El Jalapeno cheddar dogs, bacon cheddar brats, a Louisiana red hot all beef hot dog with a habanero, or a vegan dog, and then you get to choose the toppings. Oh, folks, if you haven't had Biker Gyms, it's delicious. If you're of age, they also recommend the Froze. And here's a classic, and this is one that I am glad to hear is still there. The Tornado Pretzel. The Tornado Pretzel is a classic, man. I love that thing. That's one of my favorite ballpark treats. That one's got nostalgia written all over that one. You get the cinnamon sugar, comes in the bag. Ooh, after a hot dog. That was the great treat for my viewing experience, watching the Rockies with a big old pretzel and then smash burgers there. And of course, the classic. This is one I've never pulled the trigger on, but this is definitely a classic one and an OG one, is the berry kebabs at Coors Field. I've never gone for the berry kebabs. I need a review of the berry kebabs. I know people out there listening have had the berry kebabs. They wouldn't have had them and kept them all these years if people didn't love those things. They're all people do love those things. So that was a 5280s list. And I think I'm definitely, when I'm back in Coors Field, which I'm hoping to do this season, I'm definitely going to try out some of these new foods. But I am so caught up. I'm so behind on Coors Field stuff, but I'm so fixated when I'm at the park. I need my dogs, I need either my soda or my beer, and that's it. Maybe a little sweet treat later on. That's really what I'm looking for. Wow, that is really interesting at Rock's Hot Takes. Cherry Cricket opened a spot across the street from Coors. That's big news. I love the Cherry Cricket, man. That place serves up a mean burger. It's going to just turn into places I miss eating at in Denver. It's going to make me really hungry. Yeah, so there's the Coors Field spots you got to check out. And for me, again, if out of those recommendations, I know the Tornado's good. And Biker Gyms I know is good. Man, Cherry Cricket right across. I'm sure there's tons of stuff going on around Coors Field. It's got to be jumping down there during the summer, especially over the weekend when you're down there catching a weekend game or a weekend series game. Denver, I mean, that area has to just be bustling and bumping. It was before, and there was stuff around, but now, and I'm sure even more so than ever. Let's get into some hot takes from some people that some ballpark hot takes. I asked some Locked On hosts. I asked some friends in the baseball circles. I'm going to pull those up here and get ready to go and talk about those in segment number 3 coming up next. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. You can find us on your favorite platforms like YouTube, and you can join in the live chat, just like Furious MMO, just like Mateo, just like at Rock's Hot Takes. And Mateo, never say never. You might end up at Coors Field one day. And again, you can stay up to date with all things Colorado sports with the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets podcast. That Nikola Jokic guy, pretty good. All right, let's hear from some of our. I asked in our group chat here, so I'm getting some ballpark food hot takes from the Locked On hosts. And here is Lindsey Crosby, host of Locked On MLB Prospects. Hot take is that there's not enough gluten-free options, especially in the minors. I have to pick a designated eater when I go to a ballpark just to get a sense of the food. But he says that's a niche issue. I mean, gluten-free, that's tough. It's ballparks and gluten, I mean, that's everything's kind of made there has the gluten stuff. So that is kind of tough. But you would think, and I think there are places that will try to be better, but it's unfortunate when there are some of those type of things, and the only way to address them is make the cost higher. But because as host of Locked On Guardians here says, Jeff here, he says the same issue. So he just eats before he goes to the ballpark, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, I know the food's overpriced, but I enjoy the I enjoy eating at the ballpark, man. I really, really do. Here he says, he asked about things that he enjoys, and a big shout out. The Rangers have gluten-free beer. So that's a big win for Lindsey, but he can have what Jeff, host of Locked On MLB, of Locked On Reds. I know there's two Jeffs. I know I said that, and both Cincinnati or both Ohio teams. Pretty crazy how that works out. But host of Locked On MLB, I keep saying MLB, host of Locked On Reds says everyone's lives would be simpler if they took in a ball game eating a box of fries that is covered in either buffalo chicken or barbecue pulled pork. So there it kind of goes with the steak fries we were talking about there. And Lindsey is all aboard, but he can't do the fries. He can't do the buns. He could do the proteins. So the Rangers apparently are a little bit better on that gluten-free train there. Let's see what else we got here. And I mentioned one thing earlier. Every stadium should have a value menu. You all can do what the Mariners do. It is such a it's not cheap, but it's in the back of the mind knowing that it's an affordable, and the Mariners knowing that if you are if you're going to a Mariners game, they have value days. I mean, it's not always accessible, I know, but like if you really wanted to, there are things being option. Every team should offer value stuff that helps people get in there, especially you're on your matinees and stuff like that. But it is nice knowing if I'm running like right to the ball game, if I'm working up to it, if I don't have time to eat before, I know I can grab a few dogs or something from the value menu at T-Mobile Park and not break the bank. I don't know if that's really a hot take as much as I think should be the standard there as well. And Jeff, again, Locked On Red says, we have a deal at Great American where you can get a hot dog, Cracker Jacks, popcorn, and a soda for $10. That's not bad. Not bad at all. And that's about it for the value menu. And host of Locked On Nationals, Ryan Clary, is upset they took away the buffalo chicken tender bucket, and he is never gonna forgive them. That sounds delicious. I also asked some of my friends in the Mario baseball scene, also big time ballpark people. And here we go. And there's some interesting ones. Ones I didn't even really think about either. One of my buddies said, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Listen, bud, you get to choose one or the other. Cracker Jacks already have a peanut taste, so why would you need both of them? Choose one or the other, preferably the Cracker Jacks, because the less of the mess for the cleanup crew. That's a good point. That is a good point. I think I'm more of a peanuts than a Cracker Jacks guy. I'm not a big Cracker Jacks. Cracker Jacks are all right. I couldn't do a whole box of Cracker Jacks, though, I don't think. My buddy here, he's a Red Sox fan. If you buy a Fenway Frank instead of getting street meat on Lansdowne Street, you deserve to get sick. Wow, I like getting a Fenway Frank. But I'm also partial. I like supporting the people outside, and you bring a couple dogs in there, and then you got a couple of them. And I got a random tip that the Memphis Grizzlies have great barbecue, which doesn't surprise me. They're in Memphis. And more Cincinnati love Skyline Chili. Folks, Skyline Chili, you're going to hear about it every time someone is in Cincinnati. Give it a shot. It looks weird, but it's better tasting than you think. I had one person call peanuts and Cracker Jacks both garbage, only preferring popcorn and hot dogs instead. And this was a good one. And I wonder if you guys maybe y'all can chime in and let me know if this is a thing that the Rooftop does. But there should be more. This is my buddy who's a Tigers fan out in Detroit. There should be more food happy hours before the games, just in general. Let me buy like 5 hot dogs an hour before the game for like $10, please. Would be interesting if you're there at batting practice and you kind of got like an early bird special on some of the food and stuff there. But I wonder how much inventory and such they leave there. Those are pretty good hot takes there. But yeah, I think my big hot take is you need the hot dog and you got to keep it simple. And unless again, no shots at Biker James. If you want to go do that stuff, that's great too. Put whatever you want on your hot dog. For me though, simple dog, good spot in the shade, cold drink, ideal ballpark meal. Nothing will ever beat that, no matter what fancy things, no matter how many crickets or bugs or whatever random stuff people do when they that they do to bring things in. But for me, it's always going to be hot dog and a cold drink on a great summer's day watching our Colorado Rockies. Folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Colorado Rockies, the Locked On Rockies podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Before we go, I want to dive into the live chat one more time. Mateo says, but I had the chance to find and buy Coors Light here in Italy because it's available in the supermarkets. So let's say I can experience a little bite of Colorado and Denver. There you go. Enjoy it when the Rockies are doing great or maybe got you down, depending on what you need that beer for. But always, drink responsibly, of course. Just, we like to just throw PSAs in there, be safe and everything. But folks, thank you so much for joining us today. All the time on Locked On Rockies. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. Just find Locked On Rockies. All you got to do is search Locked On Rockies, and you're going to be taken to where you need to go. Find us on YouTube. Be part of the live chat, just like at Rocks Hot Takes, just like Mateo, just like Furious MMO. All were letting us know about their food preferences at Coors Field, their hot takes about the ballpark grub. And again, find us on Twitter at LO Rockies. Find me at Paul Holden 33. And folks, until next time, I have been listening to the Locked On Rockies podcast, and we will catch you on the flippity flip.